You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
And welcome. You are listening to watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. Well, I found personally in my life that working with turnarounds is one of the most profitable, satisfying activities in my long career that I ever embarked upon. And now you're going to hear about Turnaround Network with our good friend, Paul Mendocha. You know John, he wrote the book on remote work. John, it's great to have you back. So you're on a new endeavor, Turnaround Network. Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, thanks, Kerry. Appreciate it. Always great to be on, with you and on your platform. When the whole world started going a little crazy about 3 years ago, I decided that what I needed to do was take my experience of doing turnarounds and distill it and then start teaching it. But more importantly, start working with individuals to go find turnaround opportunities. If you found a business that needed to be turned around and you say, well, this would be great if I only had, money, expertise, energy to do it. And so Turnaround Engine Network was born from the concept that people could come along and, get connected. We could build a network. We're looking at opportunities every single day. In fact, we just closed one a few months ago where we got into a company that has been in business for, 20 plus years, good reputation, hadn't grown, was kind of dormant, but it had a good position. And my partner and I were able to acquire 80% of it. That meant that the previous owner, manager, could then benefit if we grew the business. But more importantly, we got better terms because of it. Also, they have an incentive, so they attached us to their network. We then found a credit facility that we didn't have to go qualify at a bank for. And bang, now we're on our way to turning that around and turning that into a real business. So Turnaround Engine Network is all about teaching people how to not only find these opportunities, but what to do with them once you've got them.
All right. So what inspired you to start doing this?
When the whole world kind of went nuts 3 years ago, what I noticed is that, and I knew this from my previous work in turnarounds, is that chaos creates opportunity. And people can say that always in hindsight, but what do you do about it when you're diving into it? So I said that there's a barrier, there's a gap, because if I said to your audience, okay, go out and find a turnaround, they're going to find a turnaround, or they're going to find a disaster. Let's just put it that way. They'll find a disaster. And I know you've never seen one of those. Right?
Never, ever.
And when you find the disaster, now the question is there something that you want to do with it? Can you do anything with it? And then what are you willing to go out and do? So what really drove that is the fact that you have to be able to differentiate and discern what is a valuable turnaround, what are valuable assets, and really what just needs to be, tossed overboard and moved on.
Right. So like everything else in life, though, turnarounds, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. The work really, and this is something that I did not know early on in my turnaround career, because I used to just dive into everything. That's why in my consulting experience, I've done, depending upon how you count them, about 40 turnarounds. And people go, oh, you turn around 40 businesses. Well, about half of them, you get in deep enough and you go, okay, you got to call in air support and, basically, bomb the village and be done with the thing.
Got to kill
but
it.
Now there isn't anything to say. So what I've done is I've gotten better at figuring out that. So someone told me long ago, didn't really pay heed to it. We always get great advice and then we learn how good it was, which is you make money by how you purchase it up front. The better you do when you do that purchase up front, the better off you're going to be when you actually do the work and put that in place. So why put in all that energy and effort if you're really not in that good position? And frankly, the beauty of a turnaround is that usually people have been battered enough that they actually will let you do the work. Because I agree with you, Kerry, you need to do work. But how many times have you been in there where they won't let you actually do the work. They'll come up with every excuse as to why we're not going to do it, and that's just time waster.
And if they knew what they were doing in the first place, you wouldn't be looking at it. So that's probably a large reason why the company's failing in the first place. Hey, what are 3 red flags that make you just avoid a turnaround situation?
I call it the inventor's mentality, and inventors believe that they have a ray of light from this ball 93 million miles away, bestowed through some deity that makes them godlike and that
right
fix anything. So to me, that kind of inventor's mentality is very dangerous, and I stay away from that. That's a red flag. The second one is they have lots and lots and lots of debt, but they're not willing to do something with the debt. And what I mean by that is, sometimes you've got to go in and say to somebody who has this debt, well, okay, here are your options. We can go down the drain completely and you get 0 cents on the dollar. You can sell the debt for pennies on the dollar. You can get if you don't have that, if it's like Ted and I've got to pay Sally because I promised them, well, that's a built-in barriers that I can't fix. And then the third thing is that the misunderstanding that no one is so important that we can't get rid of them, me included. I mean, if I turn out to be the problem, then I have to go. But everybody has to be willing to get off of the boat, if you will, if you have to. So those are my 3 red flags, I would say.
Okay. So tell us about the Turnaround Engine Network. How do you find the companies, and do you do marriages? How does this work?
Don't just survive, thrive. The Financial Survival Network.
Torque Resources is an exploration company establishing a portfolio of premier copper-gold early-stage projects in Chile. Torque's management and technical teams have a strong track record of raising capital, discovery, and monetization of exploration successes. The company's Margarita copper-gold project is located within the prolific coastal Cordillera Belt in Chile, which hosts some of the world's largest and most profitable copper mines. The Margarita project possesses excellent discovery potential for a major copper discovery due to the strength of the alteration system, large-scale magnetic targets, and the presence of copper oxide mineralization. Drilling is anticipated to begin in Q3 of this year. Torque trades in Canada under TORQ and on the OTC under TRBMF. To learn more, go to torqueresources.com. That's torqueresources.com.
This is the Financial Survival Network, the information you need to thrive now more than ever.
Yeah, so part of the network is to build people who know what to look for and how to look for them. There are companies all around us that people will run into, but they won't quite know how to assess them. So we teach how to find them, how to do a preliminary setup, so that way we're working from a set of information that is standardized. And the third thing is what do you want out of the deal? And somebody who brought us a deal, perfectly good deal, but they thought because they found the deal and that they characterized the deal that they were going to get some huge piece, but they had no cash, no expertise, and no pull, no juice. And I said, well, you're going to be able to go along for the ride, and no, you're probably not going to get paid what you think you're going to get paid, but the deal is going to get done. And I think that's one of the challenges when you're teaching somebody is, you have to be realistic about what you bring to the party. I have several deals that I have, and I'm sure you'll smile when I say this, is that, and I learned this from my Vegas days. My Vegas days, there was a guy named Joey 2 Points in Vegas, and his deal was he always just needed to get 2 points, just 2 points. Well, I apply that also to deals that I do. I'm in several deals where I only have 2 points. Now, is that going to make or break my life? No, but I get to play. And more importantly, is that I get to see if this company is going to go somewhere, and I may be able to enhance my position or, walk away. But what that means is at least I've got something to play in the game.
Got skin in the game. So that's really important. I understand that for sure. Been in similar situations, and you want to make sure you've got that, those 2 points up front, not that you're going to be waiting for promises and then it never happens, right?
Right. Well, and I'll just dive back in here for a second. There was a deal that I was in for 2 points. It was a web property. It wasn't going to where it was supposed to go. The investors wanted to shut it down and take their loss and move on and all of that. Some resistance. There were 3 partners. And then my 2 points, I came in and said, what if we structured this in such a way that essentially you guys sold me this asset, you go do what you're going to do with the rest of that. And I gave a little back end to somebody to just sweeten the pot. But essentially that 2 points meant I had a lottery ticket, if you will, on a business that I understood. Now, has it produced what I wanted to produce? Well, it's a turnaround. So you never know what it's going to do. But it does tie into the business I just acquired in October. So I may be able to, again, as you would call it, a marriage, a roll up of sorts where you pull things together and make that work.
Right. And so I assume there's no shortage of these turnaround deals out there if you know where to look.
There are massive numbers of them, and there are more every day, especially as the economy goes through its flips and flops and all the rest of that. And part of a turnaround is that you have to get the ownership, or the management team has to come to a realization point that they really do have to do something dramatic and drastic. We live in lots of immediate gratification, lots of Band-Aids, lots of if we just get lucky, we'll turn around, or not turn around, but we'll make it through. So they have to kind of get to that realization point. So we have several that are just in the process of maybe coming up.
All right. So if I want to find a business like this around me, how do I do it?
Well, the first thing that you want to do is you want to start to map out an area that you're in. And the question is, are you going to do it? And this gets back to my book, which talks about positioning, is, do you know a marketplace? And if you know a marketplace, can you map out all of the players in that market? And the easiest exercise I can give to all of your listeners, that horde that you have that are Kerry fans, is here's the simplest way to do a positioning diagram. Do a one-dimensional one. We would call that a table, and pick a marketplace that maybe you don't know much about, and then go out and do about 2 hours worth of research. And can you list 90% of all market share in that? Now, you could cheat and go out and say search engines, but that would mean Google and then all the rest. But what you want to do is you want to get good at finding and defining the niche, because I'm going to ask you to tell me where these people are at and where they're placed. Because if I don't know where they are, then I have to do that work, and that's real work. So that's the first thing. The more you know about a market, the more you're going to find opportunities. Quick example is years ago, I used to work with printers, which again, printing companies are kind of kooky. And what I said to them is, this is a coaching group. I said, put an ad, this will date it, but put an ad in the newspaper saying that you are an investor looking to buy a print shop. And the guy said, well, okay. And I said, and we're going to do a blind ad. Well, we had 5 of his 9 competitors send us information that they wanted to sell.
Wow.
And he was shocked. He was dumbfounded. Now, here's how the game would work. And one guy did it. I mean, I had a couple thousand people in this group. One guy actually did it. And what you do is you buy that business, and what you want is the phone number, the website, you want all the contact mechanisms. You essentially let them keep the equipment. You make sure that they're not going to go back into the business, but you say, listen, you auction off the equipment. We're not going to keep the equipment. And we want the database of the customers. And when you do that, you basically have stripped out the most important assets. One guy was very successful. Everybody else sat around looking at each other, which is why this turnaround, if you will, is I don't play that game anymore. I say to people, look, I'm going to participate if it's appropriate, but here's the steps. Go find niches, find markets, understand them, and then bring this back, because this is going to tell us a lot. And then we're going to look into finances. We're going to look into other things, but we need to know where they all fit.
All right. Well, fascinating concept there, John. I wish you the best. We're looking forward to having you on again after the network's been around for a while, see the results, see what businesses you've gotten involved with. How do people find you if you have an unprofitable business and you want to find out if John and your network are interested in it?
Well, you can go to turnaroundenginenetwork.com, turnaroundenginenetwork.com. It's kind of a long URL. You can go check that out. You can always go to my my own direct, johnpaulmendocha.com, which is me, and you'll be able to find other stuff there. But what you'll do is you'll find out that we actually apply what we talk about and what we do. But yeah, if you go to Turnaround Engine Network, you'll check out what we do and how we do it. And more importantly is to come in and say, look, I have a business or I know of a business that I want to go out and go after. It's astonishing how many people do not understand that every single business that's out there, I don't care how big or small, has some level of wanting to sell that business. Now, everybody wants to sell their business for more money than they ever thought it was worth. One of the people who is associated with my network, bought a multi-million-dollar business, leveraged his way into the business.
Yeah. All right. Well, fascinating. Hey, there's a link in the show notes to this interview on Financial Survival Network. Make sure you sign up for your free newsletter. And we also have a link to all of our sponsors. Appreciate you coming on, John. And if you got a question for John or myself, shoot me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com.
Thanks, Kerry.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.